A robot can't make games. Robots can't tell stories or be creative. Now, I will use advanced algorithms to do, like, procedural texture generating, procedural clothing. I might even use neural networks to look through the internet for character models and clothing models and then sculpt that character and create that outfit on the game character just by computer vision systems and stuff. That would be pretty cool to generate the people for my games as opposed to like making them individually. So that's how I can use my advanced AI skills to make the game a lot easier. Robots can't tell a story because they can't understand language. I guess you could just create like a bunch of random story elements in a database and then have the robot randomly put it all together to create something, but that's just like a random number generator. It's not really creating a story creatively. Besides, the whole point of making a game is as a creative outlet for storytelling and showcasing your ability to create an immersive experience for others. That's the joy and purpose behind making a game. It's similar to writing a book. Why would you tell your robot to make a book when that's your ability to express yourself? It doesn't fit. Cool. Just downloaded some really good mountains. Those will be great for David. What's up, Ian? Just over here getting some free models for my multiple video games I'm making. It's pretty exciting stuff, man. There's a lot of free models out there. It's crazy. The robot's fine. I haven't worked on it in 2 months, though. Not that I'm not wanting to work on it. I've just been so busy with product manufacturing. And this little diversion into downloading video game models is not... It's not RIP. This is not like something that's just going to take over my life or anything like that. I'm just doing this because I kind of stumbled into it. I had no idea that there was all these super high quality free models available. I'm so excited. I'm gonna do a game that's like The Last of Us type of thing, like a zombie survival game, except the zombies are gonna be cyborg, human robots. It's like a pre-Matrix world, and you have to try to save the day. So there's gonna be like these deformed, scary abominations of part machine, part man. You have to go out and kill. It's gonna be like a single-player campaign-based game, and I might have multiplayer mode too. I always want to have some kind of multiplayer modes for my games, just so that they'll last past the single-player mission. Have something more you can do competitively afterward. And then I'm also doing my David game, which is based on the life of David in the Bible, and it's going to be a single-player campaign with multiplayer mode as well. So it might have some kind of survival game, single-player, not survival, single-player campaign, and then multiplayer death matches and kind of like Counter-Strike, but with medieval weapons. And then it might have a battle royale type of mode too. I feel like those two games would scratch most of my itches. It's pretty much gonna cover everything I'd want to make in a game, I think. I realized that just creating the David game wouldn't be enough, because I want to get a scary game out there with like modern city landscapes. This is amazing, man. There's so much free stuff. I can totally make a game with all this free stuff. Yeah, so I wanted like, I'll get my medieval game fix out of the way that way, and I'll get my modern type of game fix with like realistic. Both of them are gonna be pretty realistic, it turns out. I was gonna go for like a cartoony feel, but I'm not gonna go that route anymore because there's so much free realistic models and textures available that I now feel there's no need to cartoon it up. It'd be too hard to make everything look realistic with my own artistic abilities. Yeah, I could do it, but it'd take a lot of work. But since I can download all these free models, well shoot, let's go for realism then. Realism is more timeless. If I make a cartoony game, it might look aged. But that would never happen with a realistic type of game. I guess my philosophy is I want to live my life to the fullest and do all of the things that I want to do. Not just some. I actually want to do everything I want to do. So that's why I'm making a couple cool video games. And I really feel like that would be all I'd want to do in that field, is make two really awesome games in these two different types of genres. I don't think I need, like, after that I wouldn't feel like, oh, I still need to make more games. I'd be like, okay, I did what I wanted to do in gaming. Why would one guy need to make 100 games? Like, 2 is good. Covers the two big genres, medieval and present day. And I have no interest in making like little cartoony Flappy Birds or something like that. I want to make some like intense cinematic movie-esque type games that are realistic and have cool music, and they're like a movie type of experience. I love how you can download an entire human city. Like, talk about making it easier to make a game. You just take their city, tweak it a little bit, and you have yourself like 10 levels of a game. You're done. It's hilarious. And I've got tons of cities I've downloaded too. Houses, buildings, those are nice too, but to download like entire cities, it seems like that would save so much time. I honestly think if you download a city, you can pretty much just add in all the details on the street, like crushed pop cans and garbage blowing around and stuff, and suddenly you can make an entire game off just that city download that you had. And that's exciting, that you can then just create your crazy characters and your story and whatever, but you don't have to worry about so much all the artwork. Like, I'm gonna be able to still do plenty of artwork to fill in the gaps of whatever I can't download. And I'm sure there will be a lot that I have to do. From clothing to armor to all kinds of miscellaneous. But the more I can get from these free model downloads, the less of that I have to worry about. And you want to make it to where it's not like an overwhelming amount of stuff you still have to do. You want to try to get as much free stuff as you can. Now, along that same thinking, I should probably use a free, or I don't even know if it's free though, if you create a successful commercial game. I feel like if you use the Unity engine, they'd get a portion of your game proceeds. There's no way they'd let you just pocket all of that. There's no way. But I really want to create my own game engine. Like, that's a no-brainer. For somebody with coding abilities, the idea of just hoping some off-the-shelf engine will have everything I want, like, that's where your game can really differentiate itself, is really cool mechanics that an off-the-shelf engine could not possibly have. Like, they're not going to have every type of mechanic available. You have to choose from the tools available. And that can make or break the game. And that can also make or break your ability to execute on your vision for your game. I want to make sure that my vision can be fully realized. I don't want to have to compromise at all. I want to be able to casually observe the gaming world and steal ideas from other people. If I think something's cool, I want to be able to just take that. You will, Mike. You'll see that. That's a sure thing. Not a problem at all. Probably won't be working on that today. Today I'm doing manufacturing and a lot of taxes. And I'm also working toward these free model downloads for my video games I'm coming out with. I don't know if you were here yesterday, but I announced that I'm I'm for sure going to be making a second video game that's going to be kind of like I Am Legend with Will Smith. Except instead of like scary zombies, it's going to be cyborgs. So part human, part machines. Similar to like Terminator and The Matrix. And I think that goes nicely with me making robots and AI. It kind of goes with my brand. So I think it fits for me to also make a game kind of like about scary robots. I think that fits really well. I'm not calling it clip art. All of these models are just going to save me time. It's kind of like me hiring a large art department to develop all of the characters and trees and buildings and everything for my games. Except I don't have to hire them. It's all free downloads. It's amazing. So that makes it all the more realistic. I'm like the engineering team, and the art department is done by, well, artists that are willing to work for me for free. It's just crazy how that happened that way. It's amazing that this is even possible. So I'm downloading page 2 of '86 pages. Oh, I think I already downloaded those. Yeah, I got all this stuff. Every single thing on there. They always screw it up though. You'll be looking at the free stuff and then you click next page and then it will show non-free stuff all of a sudden. They'll mess it up for you. So I'm opening up all the free pages right here. 184 pages. I'm going to open up every page. And then I'm going to begin systematically downloading every single free image from all 184 pages. It looks like there's about 50 images to a page or so. Or 50 downloads per page. This is the most incredible thing, man. Of all the other websites, this thing's crushing. As far as like providing a lot of stuff. Goodness, it's so high quality. Look at these, man. I'm blown away. It's unbelievable. How many do I have so far? I think I've downloaded like maybe 500 models. This website might be one of the last ones I'm gonna go through because it's so extensive. I feel like we'll be pretty good. I mean, I don't need a million models, I don't think. No, there's a lot of models in here I'm not going to be downloading though. Like the Lego Man, the Pokeballs, the Einstein bust. Don't need them. Ooh, it looks like the quality might be dropping off. I'm almost happy if I see that, because it's like, goodness, there's so much stuff I have to download now. It's really hard to even imagine how many free models they have available. It's mind-boggling. I'm consuming all the free stuff on the internet. Just gobbling it all up. This is like the fourth website I've scraped all the free content off of, and this one's by far the best. Good grief, man. It's unbelievable. The quality and vastness of their selection. I'm sure a lot of people try to get a lot of free... I shouldn't say images, though. It's free 3D models for their games. And yeah, I'm sure a lot of people do it. Well, TurboSquid.com gets my vote for best resource. Because, wow. This is a lot of good stuff, man. We're a quarter of the way through. $150 pages, probably going to download on average 10 items per page. That's 1,500 items. That'll really beef up my personal library of 3D assets. If you look at a video game as an asset with value, my two games are tremendously growing in value right before your very eyes. Because they're light years closer to becoming a reality if I have all the 3D models I need for them. And I just create my engine, drop the models in, boom. Off to the races. Don't have to make all these models. I was literally going to make every single model myself. This is such a huge time saver. I'm not stealing, but yes, I'm downloading free 3D models to use for my video games. My concern that dawned on me today was, what if I spend, 30 years making these games, and when they come out, nobody plays them? That scared me. But I'd still do it, though. It's still worth it to me. That all having been said, I do hope that people will find out about my games and actually play them. Actually, you're absolutely wrong about that. Because I'm going for realism, these graphics will not be obsolete because they are realistic. Therefore, there's no possible way they would become unrealistic just because, future games will look very realistic, like mine will too. Also, caricatures will always be caricatures, so let's say future games were so realistic that my game looked dated. Well, then I could just excuse it away by saying, by cartoonizing to some extent everything, maybe even procedurally generating cartoonization effects on all characters and all environmental items through advanced algorithms, so that everything has a cartoony feel to it, and then suddenly of reality will always be a thing. Like, no matter how good your Monsters Inc. or whatever other Pixar movies become, you're still gonna have your Family Guy, which is just or Rick and Morty. Like, you're still gonna have your 2D cartoons because not everyone will feel the need to see the most advanced 3D realistic looking cartoons. So PC hardware is always going to be reverse compatible. If you think that your PC can't run like DirectX 6, it absolutely can. Even if DirectX 12 is the version it can support, it would always be able to support older versions. OpenGL and DirectX will always be around, they'll always be backwards compatible. And even if they weren't, you'd still be able to run a conversion, just like people can port games to console. You could create algorithms that would just change all of the commands of the rendering to a different API of a more recent computer graphics API engine or development environment. So to be able to upgrade the engine would not be a big deal. And the building of the engine would never be a waste because all those commands, all of the organization, all of the physics and stuff, that wouldn't change. But I'd even argue you most likely wouldn't have to upgrade as long as you're able to achieve what you want with the older libraries. It'd be fine. You'd probably have access to more advanced features, higher quality reflections and stuff like that 20 years, 30 years from now. And that'd be about the only reason to upgrade is to just enhance the realism and visual quality. But that's about it. Like, and that's optional. If you feel the game looks good how it is, you wouldn't need to. At the end of the day, you know, a game with graphics that aren't cutting edge is still going to be popular if it's a really fun game, really immersive, really enjoyable gameplay mechanics. And games that aren't cutting edge graphically come out all the time and still achieve commercial success. Although cutting edge graphics can be a selling point, you can also use other selling points. And plus, as an indie developer, you're always going to have games come out in the indie development category that are not going to be cutting edge. That's par for the course. Alright, I'm going to have to crash close Firefox. It ran out of RAM. It's really an incredible non-waste of time. If you're a video game developer, to establish a library of free 3D models is a tremendous time saver. It's an excellent use of time. And I am a video game developer. I've already started my engine and everything. Have games already announced and stories already ready to go. This ship has already left the station. Models have gone down in quality a lot by the second half of their listings. But I've noticed that's been the case on all the different sites. Look at that calculator! The graphics are getting so bad. They were so good before and now they're getting bad. It's funny. It seems endless, but it's not endless. I'm already off the good stuff. What are you laughing at, Bustacap? I know, they were amazing before. Like, completely realistic and everything. Now it's like a square with little squares on it, and that's a calculator. It's like Minecraft graphics once you get toward the back. But I'm actually relieved. If this website had 1 million downloads, I'd have to download all 1 million. I'm going to be thorough, aren't I? Like, the more extensive my free 3D model library is, the better for me going forward. Because you never know what key model is going to be in there that's going to be like, this model really makes my game amazing. Or like, you're making a level and you're like, dang it, I just need a gold ring for the king to be wearing. And you didn't happen to download that one thing. You could download 1 million other things, but that one thing. So that's why there's this pressure to just download forever everything I can get my hands on. And eventually, like, I'm gonna say, you know what, I did my part. I downloaded everything I could, and that's it. I'm gonna stop looking for more. Because I'm not going to spend the next 20 years downloading every free model I can. Like, this is a phase, and once I'm done with that phase, that's it. I'm not coming back. The rest of the models I'm going to make myself, or have to convert from these models, expanding them into something else. Or procedurally generate them using algorithms. Like, I believe I can create an algorithm that can look up a picture of a bullet of a certain caliber on Google image search, look up several pictures, and then model a bullet for me. So I could create AI that can literally create 3D models for my game for me. And that kind of stuff, artificial intelligence assisted game development, I think that that's pretty unheard of, because most companies need to race to deliver. They don't have time to make AI. But the fact that I'm already building AI for my robotics and stuff, it's an asset that I have that a normal video game company wouldn't have access to, that level of technology. They're too focused on pushing one game out the door after the next. They don't develop AI like that. So that could really be a game changer for me in my video game development journey. And incidentally, if I did make something that could do that, I'd be willing to bet I could sell that to a video game company, because that would be really useful to them. Plus, I could create my own video game model downloader website and sell video game models that my AI developed. But who wants to buy models when you can get this many free ones? Like, that's out of the question to me, to buy models when I know I can get this many free ones. Alright, so we opened up every single page, 184 pages, 18,000 results. And now we've got to download everything we want. That's the worst wolf I've ever seen. Oh my gosh, I think a 5-year-old made some of these at the back. Okay, that's a pretty good banana. I'll take that banana. It's a good apple too. See, there's still some gems down here in the deep recesses. There's still some goodies in here. It's a nice cart. I could see that being pulled around by a horse in my David game. That wood stove could be in my David game. I don't know if they had wood stoves back then, but YOLO, we'll take it anyways. Okay. One page down, boy. I guess, okay, I just cleared my desktop. I guess the reason I am downloading all this stuff right now is because I kind of was itching to do something on a passion project, whether it's the video game or whether it's actually this stove kind of sucks. I'm not gonna do I'm not gonna get this one, sorry. Whether it was the video game or whether it was the robot, I wanted to work on one of my fun, like, you know, I want to work on this type of projects. And I've been disciplining myself for 2 months not to do that type of thing. I've been forcing myself to do the dirty work of just manufacturing, organizing, doing things like adding a third battery to my battery pack for my kayaking trips. It's like, yeah, that's important to have that third battery so that it can have two fans, one for my wife, one for me, because we're going to be sleeping in the car during the summer, and we both need a fan. I don't want to share my fan like I did on our last trip, road trip. So it's like, yeah, those are all good things, but twisting wires onto a new battery for 2 hours is not working on the robot or building a video game. Like, that's not exciting. So I've just felt like in a rut of building things or doing things that weren't like that thrill factor type of thing. What the heck is this? A picture? How is that? How is that a 3D model? I don't understand. That's a cool Lamborghini. Yeah, I'll take it. Whatevs. That's a kind of cool knife. I'll take it. Yeah, I just needed a little escape to fun time type of stuff for a change of pace. Like, video game development is fun. Like, fun. So I'm kind of off to-do list at the moment. You could call that wandering. Now, it's dangerous to wander a lot because time management is critical if you want to even be able to do all the things you want to do. And so I can't just do this anytime I want. Just, oh, I'm off the book today. I can't just work on the game all the time. I would... It's not sustainable. I would get in a lot of trouble. I wouldn't be making money. I'd fall behind on manufacturing and orders. I'd end up in a very stressful situation. I wouldn't get my taxes done on time. I'd have late fees. So I'm not even going to do this like the whole day. But I'm just explaining like why I do it at all. It's just like a little breather. Like, I've been dunked underwater just doing all this really important but boring stuff for a long time. And I want to have a little bit of freedom just to not do that stuff. And because I'm self-employed, that's one of my rights. Like, if the boss wants to work on his video game, which has nothing to do with his to-do list today, the boss can do that. Like, I'm the boss. So that's kind of nice. These models are so bad now. Look at this sword. Oh, some little kids made this stuff, man. That's a decent axe. It's decent, but I think I've already gotten some better ones. Yeah, the folder's going to be unorganized, but I'm going in steps. Everything's got to be methodical if you want to really be organized about it. So that disorganization is an organized thing. It's just like if you're going shopping. You fill up your cart with everything you want from the store, you check out, you bring it all home, then you organize it once you have it home. My first goal, I'm just shopping right now. I'm filling my cart. That's just my grocery cart. Then I'm going to extract every file, organize every file, name it hierarchically. So I'll have it like human, female, outfit, human, female, anatomy, human. No, that's probably it. Like that type of stuff. Human, female. I don't know. And then I'll have like architecture, city, modern. Like I'll name them in a way where all the human stuff is going to be in a section, all the architecture stuff will be in a section, but then it will break it down into subsections, and because you're organizing it alphabetically, things will be hierarchically arranged that way and easy to find. And I can have them all in a single folder so I can still scroll and see everything I have. And also I'm going to have to create an image for every single model so I can see what that model is without having to open up the model file to see it. So I'll have to create a thumbnail image, just like all these have images. I'm guessing in most cases that image will be inside the zip file I'm downloading, but in some cases I'm sure it's not. And in that case I will have to open up every model, take a screenshot, and that will be the image, and it will have the same name as the model file, so that way the image will be right next to it. So I'll have a very organized system for accessing all this stuff. So when I'm making the game, I'll be able to quickly pull up a barrel, for example, and add it to a map. In fact, my game itself will probably have a level designer aspect, and I'll be able to pull up very quickly any type of model I want based on a hierarchical naming scheme, and then have a drop down in game that you can pull models from and then spit it out into the game. So you don't even have to go into the folder. It's just all right there accessible while you're making the game in the game engine with the game open full screen. I think that'd be a cool way to do it, but maybe that's overkill, I don't know. It's just I've seen it done that way in another game. I was watching a game dev video and they were talking about how the tools they use and stuff. And I think any type of dev tools you create will be probably well worth it, because it'll probably save you a lot more time than it took to make the tool in the long run. So I'll probably end up making a lot of dev tools. This gun is so bad. I mean, that's actually a good model of a gun, but it's bad in that it's very low poly. Like, my standards for model polygon count have gone way up, especially for something like that. If it's a sword and it's low poly, that's kind of okay, because if you put a really good, like, I'll take this sword. If you put a really good reflective metal surface on it, it will look realistic, and you'll just think, oh, it was just like a simple sword design, because it's old-fashioned. But if you took like a gun, you can't really explain away why the gun has only 5 polygons. Ooh, that's a pretty good sword. That's an awesome sword. That's an awesome... Never mind, that's not even a sword. It's a Rambo knife. I gotta take as many swords as I can get, man. This is not too bad. I don't know how realistic our models are going to be, but I think a lot of the realism can be established just by adding more detail to some of these simpler models. It's still worth taking them, even if they're not like super detailed. You know, something I'm lacking is armor. You got all these swords, but no armor. I find that odd. I'm switching hands. all this clicking can be very repetitive, but it's nice that I have two hands. That's a nice little image for like a reload. If you have a level with a gun and you can have hidden ammo, like, you know how games are, you have to find ammo for your weapon. That's a really nice one to have on a table. I don't know about that one. I'm gonna pass on that one, guys. It specifically says low quality in the in the title. It just seems like meh. Like, I can take some of these simple designs like this one into ZBrush and add in some details like leather straps and stuff to the handle. And then obviously if my engine has really nice metal graphics, and then I can add some procedural dings and chips and stuff out of the metal to make it look more weathered. That type of thing can go a long way. So I think it's still worth getting some of these really simple sword models, because I can spruce them up but just use the design. So yeah, it's still worth having. I can't decide if these bullets are good enough. Nah, I don't know, man. I'm gonna pass. I really love this model. I don't know if... Oh yeah, I'll take it. That's the AWP from Counter-Strike. I definitely gotta have an AWP somehow in my game. That has nostalgic value to me. It's funny how many swords people make. I mean, it's useful, but it's just like... Seriously, guys? Do we really need 1 million? I'm not complaining though. It gives me more of a selection, but still. It's just like interesting that so many people just have this desire to make more swords. Good thing I'm making a medieval game and can make use of a lot of these. Well, it's not medieval, it's biblical times. That's even before medieval, I guess. I like this one, kind of. I think it'd be cool to make a Dark Souls-like game. You know what? I'm gonna make sure to take what I just said very seriously. My zombie survival game is gonna have a Dark Souls feel to it, and I'm gonna use Dark Souls artwork, like their creatures, as a huge inspiration for my cyborg zombie creatures. I'm gonna use Dark Souls. Because I think Dark Souls is the most incredible visual game I've ever seen as far as creature design and stuff. I mean, it's just amazing. So yeah, we're gonna be tapping that. It's funny when I go through an entire page and there's not a single model I want to use. Shows how bad some of these are at the end, at the back of the... Working from the back of the site to the front. So that way I can close tabs from right to left that I opened. I love it, man. That's an excellent female model. That type of stuff is so important because you can never have enough humanoid models because there's so many different humanoids. Each one needs a different face, slightly different build. So I just figured download everything you can find as far as that goes because you want to have a variety of characters in your games. Look at this crappy axe. Now that is bad. Not downloading that. Most humanoid models I would download. Not that one. And not that one. Even though it does actually look like Spock somehow. Ooh, snap. That looks amazing. It's funny how you can just find these little gems like buried away. Look at this. That's a nice radiator. That's a nice table. That's a nice ottoman. That's a nice screw. See there? We're still finding some goodies. Even in the very depths of this site, there's some jewels. It's like treasure hunting. This is not bad. You know, another thing, Big Bangus, if I were to use an off-the-shelf engine, can you imagine how dangerous that is as far as future-proofing? Like, that engine might not even be maintained, and it might have bugs 30 years from now. It might be completely discontinued. They might even make it no longer free, like they might require a commercial license to use it. If they were to change their business model for whatever reason over a 30-year period. So that could really come back to bite me if I were to marry my game to a specific engine that I don't own. I think that would be a really bad idea. Occlusion roughness metallic, normal base color normal, metallic smoothness, albedo transparency, roughness normal direct X, mixed AO, metallic, height, base color, all that stuff I have to learn about and implement it into my engine in order to be able to have stuff with that high quality of rendering. I know what a normal map is, I know what a lot of that stuff is, but I do not know how to code that into my engine, so that will be fun to learn and implement. I'm sure I'll find tutorials on that. Ooh, finally, some armor! Heck yeah! The Greaves? Yes, this is so good. Oh my gosh. Yes. Some armor. I can even modify this armor, but it's got everything. It's got the armor, it's got the chest armor, thigh, everything. So I can use this as a base armor and then add to it. I'm so happy to have found that, man. What an important find. I needed armor bad. I'm making a biblical war game, and so I'm going to be dealing with a lot of need for armor, even though back then probably a lot of them did not have armor. I'm sure some of them did. Yeah, I know they did, because when David went to fight Goliath, remember the king gave David his armor, and it was too heavy, and David chose to opt out of that and just face Goliath with only a sling and a handful of rocks. That proves that there was in fact armor at that time period. So there you go. I do need armor. And Goliath had a ton of armor on. Oh yeah, this is a very, very, very long-term project. As are all of my projects, because it's not my only project, so it has to be long-term. I mean, even if it was my only project, it'd be long-term. Because to make your own video game engine and then build an entire game as a solo developer without a team is a very, multi-decade project. And then to make multiple games on top of that, that's even more decades. And then if you consider that I also have many other projects, and this is just one of my many hobbies, then you start to get the idea that this is not going to happen anytime soon. I mean, this is really, really... No, I don't need that. I don't need a final boss or anything like that. It's going to be based on the life of David in the Bible. David doesn't fight Jesus in the Bible. Jesus has never even been born at that time. And even Goliath won't be the final boss, unless if I wanted to create a game that has multiple, like the early life of David, King David. Like I could create a trilogy of games if I wanted to make sure that I make more money that way. That might be a good marketing ploy. If I were to create the first game, build hype and a good reputation, and really advertise that for a couple of years, and then release the second game, and then get media and popularity, because I have the credibility built by my first game, and so when I release the second one, it can be a lot more anticipated and get a lot more sales, since I read that most game sales come like the first few weeks of a game's release, and after that nobody talks about it. So to release the game in parts like that might be really smart, almost like chapters. Like I think The Walking Dead did it that way. They release chapters and you have to buy each chapter, so you're also getting repeat sales, because if you release the whole thing in one game, that's it, like it's over. But if you release it in parts, then you get to recharge the customer every chapter of the game. So I think releasing in like 3 or 4 chapters a longer game would be better. So I might actually do it that way and have the killing of Goliath be the final boss on the first game or the first chapter, and then release further chapters after that. That's actually a super good idea. In fact, I gotta write that down. That's fantastic. Yep. So that's how I'm gonna do it 100%. We're gonna release the game in installments. And each installment will get a bunch of people who already quit the game, and they're like, yeah, that was a good game. They'll be like, oh, it's coming out. Just like expansion packs for an MMO. Everybody comes back to that old MMO when the new expansion comes out. The same principle can apply to everyone coming back to my game when a new chapter comes out. and I can have a trailer and generate a lot of hype and get people excited about the game again. The problem is, if you're an unknown developer releasing a game for the first time, nobody's heard of you. You probably won't get much press. The majority of sales of a video game are the first few weeks of its release, and it's just going to fizzle out, and no one will have ever heard of it, and it will slide under the radar, and it will just become an unknown game. But if you release that game in chapters, the first chapter can slowly build a cult following and even go free to play after a while, or you might lower the price to like $2 per download, and then more people will try it out on the Steam store or whatever, and people will start to know of it. They'll have played it. Once the price goes down, people might like kind of find it, and over the years, it can build up a little bit of a following as the price comes way down and it's been released for a while. And then when your next one comes out, you get your whole fan base back excited for the next installment. So you're getting all those sales again, remonetizing the same people. And then you're also going to possibly have a better chance of having more hype and talk about it for that next installment, because people have heard of you, and you're an established game developer and you have a game already out, and people can check that out while they wait for the new game to come out, and you can point the press to your old game and tell them you're coming out with the next chapter, and it just can build a lot more hype on itself. And so the second game release can be a lot more profitable than the first one, because now people have heard of you. So that's, I think, a really smart way to do it. It's not a Jesus fighting game just because it's the story of David, and he had a very violent life. He lived his life by the sword. So it's the perfect story for a fighting game. It's going to be a bloody game. He also had a lot of success with the ladies. He had like 20, 30 wives and like 40 concubines. So there can be a lot of sexy ladies in the game, which is a appeal for a bunch of basement-dwelling nerd virgins that will be playing it. So I can make sure to have a lot of hot ladies in there. And yeah, it should be a great, like probably the best story in the Bible for a video game. Halberds are pretty cool. I'm gonna have a lot of halberds in the game, I think. They're like a spear sword. It's kind of neat concept. I wouldn't mind using a halberd in a real battle. I'd be able to kill you before you're in arm's reach to stab me. Just swing that thing with my long arms and you're done. Game over. Although after that first swing, if you made it to me, I'd probably drop it and pull out my sword. So it'd be kind of scary in that regard. But the idea would be to prevent somebody getting close enough to kill you with their sword or knife by using a longer range, like a mid-range weapon like that. Because once you get in striking distance, you have a chance of killing me, and I don't like that. Ha ha! That's a nasty pig. I don't think pig's ears don't look like that. That's not accurate. I think that's too modern. I don't think they could make that back then, so I'm not going to put that in. Wait, never mind. I want it because I can use it on a female character in the modern game. David's going to be a stud. He's going to have a beard. He's going to be super sexy, tan, hot man. Because the Bible said he was rugged and very good looking. He was very handsome. He was the people's choice. He was a favorite. So I'm going to make him look very attractive. No homo. And yeah, since he is a warrior, he's going to have an awesome body. Probably not like a bodybuilder body, but he's going to be pretty well defined, toned, tan, with excellent musculature. He's going to be a sexy beast. But you won't see him that much because you're going to be playing him in first person. However, you'll see him in the cutscenes. Perfect. That's a beautiful character model right there. Loving it. These are some great vases for the David game. Yeah, I knew I had to make a modern game in addition to my biblical-based game when I saw how many free models there are available for modern games. And I once was part of a video game development team for university, and we never finished our zombie shooter game, and I feel like quite disappointed in that. It feels like a shame, like a waste. And so coming back to it has a really poetic justice feel to it. I don't like to start things and not finish them, so I'm going to consider this me finishing something I started long ago. Like coming back full circle and actually making a zombie shooter, which is what I wanted to do in the beginning. This is such a great model. Goodness. The guy's clothes look real. So happy about this. Yeah, I'm extremely excited about building some video games, man. Looking at these models makes it so real and exciting. I'm hyped. The best part is I don't have anybody telling me how quickly to get it done. Or, no, you can't add that in the game because we don't have time. Or anything else, because I have complete creative control. I am the sole developer. I have no investors or anybody to bark at me. I'm probably going to eventually create Kickstarters for these games once they're like really far along in development. Just as a cash grab. It's kind of like pre-sales. It's a marketing play, really. I think I should put a wizard in my David game. There should be wizards and magic in the game. Lord of the Rings vibe, if you will. Little Lord of the Rings, Never Hurt Anyone. Little Middle Earth touch to it. I gotta be careful though doing that, but I think I might be able to squeeze a little in. I mean, for example, Saul, who was the guy trying to kill David, he was the current king. He actually visited a lady, like a witch, who basically called up spirits for him to talk to. And so that scene, maybe that will be my chance to put some magic. That would be pretty cool. Ooh, that's a good shield. Nice and simple. Believable. Just needs some battle wounds on it. That'll work. That looks like something from Bible times. For men and for women, I think what was handsome would be the same as for now. I bet you halberds were around in Bible times because David. They talked about David wearing armor to fight Goliath. So that means that they had metalworking at that time. And if they had metalworking, then they could have well, they had swords and they had bow and arrow. They did have a bow and arrow because Saul's son shot bow and arrow with David, and they had spears. Saul threw spears at David. So if they have spears, swords, shields, Saul actually fell on his sword. Armor, they have metalworking abilities. Why wouldn't they have halberds? I'm sure they had halberds. It's just another type of weapon, unless if halberds were invented later. But they had the technology to do it. They had blacksmiths. If they have blacksmithing, then they should be able to do it. That's a crappy model, sorry. Ain't going in my library. Looking like that. Looking all whack. La 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 la. La 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 la. La la la. I feel like a pickaxe would fit. I'll have to add more detail to it, but I think somebody would have a pickaxe back then. Just because wizards are blasphemous doesn't mean they weren't in the Bible. Like I said, Saul actually sought out a spiritist, like wizard witch lady, and she called some spirits from the dead to talk to him. If you don't believe it, look it up. That's actually in the Bible. That happened. It's a thing. So I'm gonna have my magic in my game. It's gonna be awesome. I feel like it'd be pretty fun to make Lord of the Rings the game. Just my own, telling the story again. But obviously I couldn't. I would need to get permission from the publishing house that owns J.R. Tolkien's copyrighted materials. I don't know who. And I'm sure that's not possible for just some random Joe to make a Lord of the Rings game, but it'd be super fun. I know they already made that game, but I'd like to make it myself because I love Lord of the Rings. I love that universe. I love the characters. I love the stories. It'd be fun to make a game of that. So I guess it'd be totally illegal. It'd be illegal. I'd get sued. But it'd be so worth it. However, I won't do it because it'd be too much of a shame not to get to actually release the finished game. But just making the game and letting my kids play it and my wife play it would be pretty satisfying in itself, actually. I have a product I invented and my family is all using it and we love it. And I get my fair share of sales. I get 1 to 5 sales a month. But I've learned to be thankful. Despite the lack of critical success, like large scale explosive success, I am thankful that I made something that is helping some people, and more importantly, it's helping me and my family. You can't underestimate the importance of that. And these are some great swords. I think we're starting to get a little bit into the good models again. Seems like they're improving by this page. I opened up like 4 off this page. Holy crap, that's nice. We're getting to the good stuff, boys. Aw, yeah. Yeah, I guess I could change the names and stuff, but I would want it to be Aragorn. I would want it to be Gandalf. Like, I'm cool with that. Could you have an Arthur and Merlin game? Is that like copywritten? Isn't that like so old that anybody could have it? Like, who owns the copyright to Arthur, Merlin, Lancelot, you know, the Knights of the Round Table? Who owns that? Do you think anybody still owns that? Probably somebody has some kind of ownership over it. But it kind of seems ridiculous if it's like 100-year-old plus tale. Oh, wasn't that around for hundreds of years? I mean, it seems like it would be, but maybe I'm wrong. I don't know for sure. But it's cool. I don't need to do another Merlin type of game. Like, the story of David in the Bible is plenty for me. That's okay. I don't... Like, this is going to give my medieval sword fighting game fix. Like, why would I create another medieval sword fighting game? That's stupid. Besides, I don't think it's realistic to expect me to make like 7, 8 games. Unless if I put together a whole game studio or something. Which is something I might do, who knows. I'm gonna have interns one day. And my kids. They'll help me to achieve a lot of my projects that may not seem realistic now. They'll become a lot more doable once I start delegating things out. And I assure you guys, I will be delegating things out in the future. Hopefully not too much to where I don't feel like I'm the one achieving this stuff. But enough to where I don't know. I mean, I don't like the idea of I didn't make it. Like, all these things, I want it to be me that makes it. So when I delegate, I have to really think it through. Like, what am I willing to delegate where I won't feel like, okay, now I don't feel like I made this game. Because then it's just another game. It has to be I made it. Maybe I'll delegate out things that I don't want to do in the game development process. Maybe something like that. But I don't want to do so much delegation that it's no longer impressive what I achieve in the game. So that could come back to bite me. Goodness, I have so many banana models. I think I'm going to pass on any more of those. How many bananas can I take? Arthur's a folk tale. So, is it copywritten? Like, can anybody make a game or whatever on Arthur? Folktale. Who makes folk tales? Brothers Grimm, right? Does anyone own all rights to Brothers Grimm material and content? I wonder. Damn, look at that car. Wow. That's cool. I'll take it, man. Man, we're starting to get to the good stuff here. The idea of making a game and putting in all this detail and love, like putting a pen holder in someone's desk in the game, like that attention to detail is just invigorating. Like it's so exciting. This idea of going into all this little detail, creating this whole universe inside a game. It's just fun, man. I can't wait. I'm doing it. I'm doing it now. Sure, we need a pen. Sure, we need a trash can. Bring it on. Okay, that humanoid looked weird. We're starting to get more and more good models weaving in here. Nice, I'll take these columns for Saul's palace. The Palace of Saul will need a lot of nice columns. Yeah, I'm so happy that I didn't stop. Like, I'm not a quitter, and I'm pretty thorough, and I just happened to open 4 or 5 different free model website results from Google, and this was like the last one I was going to check, and it just so happened to be a gold mine of amazing 3D models. The amazingness factor isn't readily apparent here in the final pages, which I'm going through first because I'm going from the end toward the beginning. But wait until we get closer to the beginning, man. The models get so good toward the beginning. It's amazing. You know what's going to be fun? When I start developing fans who only want to follow the robot, and then I have other fans who are only interested in my CNC machine stuff, and then I have other fans who are just die-hard fans of my gaming development stuff, and they can give a crap about the robot. And that's going to be fun when I start like getting to the point in these projects where I have extreme fans on specific projects of mine, and they're not really that interested in my other stuff. But then I think there will be some crossover. They're like, oh, I hate that you're always working on the robot. I want to see you finish David game. I'm really invested in seeing that game happen. But then they'll be like, but on the other hand, this robot is freaking awesome, so I guess I'll write you a pass. That's going to be fun. Just seeing people coming out of the woodwork interested in what I'm doing. It's fun to get attention and have people be interested in what you're doing. And I feel I do get that now. But it's just a pittance, a small taste of what's to come, because I mean, I'm so early in all the projects, like so bare bones beginnings that it's hard for like people to really get too hyped, especially as slow as I go. But as I start to really get deeper and deeper, I'm going to start developing some really excited people, diehard fans. It's a nice ring. Ha! This ring model is in Rhino. I think I've heard of Rhino as a 3D modeling software. So I'm going to have to download Rhino now to get that one converted to something I can open up in Maya. Just when you think you've downloaded every file format imaginable, then you see Rhino. Look at that sword. I'll take it. I like the handle part. That's not bad. Kind of an awkward pose, but like I said, the more humanoid models I download, the better as far as I'm concerned. Wait, so I could actually make a King Arthur game, you're saying? What? No way. Dude. I'm on it. I'm on it. I dropped out of college because if I would have taken even one more semester, I would have began going into debt, and I wasn't willing to go into debt for college. And in addition to that, I decided I wanted to be an entrepreneur. At that time, already, I knew that I wanted to be an entrepreneur. And specifically, I wanted to be an artist. So I was like, I don't need to go into debt for somebody to tell me how to do art. I can already make art capable of selling now. So I'm going to drop out and just go after that. And then my life just kind of went in all kinds of directions since then. But I still find myself having plenty of artistic outlets, whether it's video game development or sculpting the bones for my robotics project, or developing logos or websites. It's all art, so I constantly find myself getting to do art in a way. I just don't sell my art per se, but I will be. Like when I release my video game, I'm going to be selling my art in a way. But yeah, if you're thinking I dropped out because of bad behavior, I got kicked out or anything, that had nothing to do with that. I was actually, I had the highest GPA of my university. And I actually have a certificate to that effect to prove it. So yeah, it wasn't anything bad. I had a great experience at university. I switched majors several times from art, or first I was Spanish major while doing my gen ed. It was just a declared major. I never even took a single Spanish class yet. And then I switched to video game development, and I was doing like software classes, learning programming, learning computer skills. And then I took ooh. That's kind of cool. Then after that, I took art. I was like, let's just do art. Actually, I'm going to pass on this. No, I shouldn't have done that. Crap. I changed my mind. I want it. And I'm going to have it. The textures are terrible and cartoony, but the actual shape is nice. That could be a boss helmet. Or a helmet upgrade for a character or whatever. This is how you develop video games, guys. You gotta download a bunch of free models. There's no way you should ever like make all your models from scratch. Unless if you've never done 3D modeling before. I've done extensive 3D modeling already in the past, so I don't have anything to prove. And I'll still have plenty of modeling to do to create things that I was not able to find while downloading the free stuff. If I can get 75% of my modeling for free, I'd say that's a huge score. That's a pretty awesome weapon right there. You know what? I'm going to take it, man. That's too cool. Oh, man. Can you imagine that thing covered in blood? See, that's another thing. When it comes to gore, my games are going to be ridiculous. No parent will let their kids play my games. I'm going to have flesh and blood smathered, hanging off these blades, chunks of meat. It's going to be disgusting. I'm going to have blood all over everybody in the battles. It's going to be like Kill Bill. Just blood and meat everywhere, just flying through the air during battles. It's going to be disgusting. Because that, to me, is funny and disturbing, and it's going to make people sick when they play my game, and it's going to cause a lot of discussion and controversy, and it's going to lead to more sales. And people are going to be laughing. They're going to be like, oh my gosh, that's going too far. You're going to hit somebody and you're going to see like an eyeball go flying. And you're going to be like, oh, that's disgusting. I've never seen an eyeball fly through the air in a game. Maybe when something really gory happens, I'll have a slow motion happen where everything slows down and you just see the guts flying right during the battle. I've seen games where they do slow motion at certain moments when you're fighting. I think that would be so cool. Oh man, it's gonna be so gross. Actually, I have to write that down. Make sure I remember that 20 years from now. So just because it's a Bible-based game based on a Bible story does not mean I need to make it rated G. Like, it's gonna be realistic, man. Gory and real. Can you have a game that's too gory? Like, you would just get a what? A mature rating for your game, right? Would Twitch make... Would Twitch say no one can play my game if I made it too nasty? I wonder. Like, realistic gore flying through the air, would they be like, you can't develop this game on Twitch, like, while streaming? I wonder if that would happen. I mean, I guess I could do the gore off stream, but then just do everything else on stream. But like, that's funny, man. That idea that it would get like too bad for Twitch to even handle. That's hilarious. I mean, I guess I should take this office chair. It's really good. I feel like I already have a bunch of office chairs, but maybe, you know, you're better off to download too many than not enough. There's a lot of game development to come. You never know what you'll need. Have I ever been depressed? Yeah. Oh man, I have tons of rocks already I've downloaded. I've downloaded like entire mountain ranges, multiple mountain ranges, rocky scenes with trees and everything and roots that were taken using digital scanning technology. Some people have figured out how to scan outdoor environments. They'll take a bunch of pictures with like a 3D camera and then like run it through software and create 3D models based on that. Super high detail, complete with textures. I don't know how they're doing it, but that's the future of game development, and I downloaded a lot of models like that. It's super crazy stuff. So I have a lot of stuff to work with already, but it's getting better and better. Yeah, man, I'm really getting through this. I'm on 120 of 188, so I've already completed 60 pages of downloads. This ain't that bad. I'm gonna have to take this. No, they're so low poly though. That female model is too crappy for me. I can't do it, man. I'll pass. These swords have good shape to them, but the textures are obviously horrible. But I'll be able to put like realistic metal textures. It's gonna look awesome. They'll look great covered in blood and flesh. Steam won't sell it. Well, I can have a gore filter for Steam maybe. And then you'll have to buy it outside of Steam if you want to have the gory version, which so I can have two versions of the game. Most games have the ability to toggle how much gore you want. I've seen that before. I think the more the better. It's just hilarious. That armor was so bad. Fine, I'll take these desks, I guess. I feel obligated. Ooh. Oh, I thought that was a crown. I could probably make that into a crown, though. I just realized I don't have a crown. And I'm gonna need a crown. Yeah, I guess I'll take those faces. They're not great, but I could probably improve on them. The idea is that your game engine should be so good it should make even crappy models look way better. By adding all the lighting effects and the specularity and all the fancy stuff. Even the worst of models will look cool. I don't know. I'll take it. Textures are kind of bad, but it is kind of an interesting looking model, and it's a nice start to something. I could always improve on it. You gotta see the potential in things. You can't just pass it all if it's not perfect as is. Gotta be willing to improve on these models on an as-needed basis. I'm gonna do all my own voice acting for my game. It's gonna be so funny. I use voice modification in software to make my voice higher for women and stuff like that, but I'm gonna do it all. And I'm gonna compose my own music. Which will be really fun, to make your own music for your own games. Procedural generation of clefts and geometries and details over your base mesh. That is exactly what I need for detailing metal of armor and weaponry, for detailing variations of people and characters and clothing and foliage and the ground and the grass and the vegetation. It should all be procedurally generated, just like Minecraft procedurally generates its environments, but just it's way less quality. But the same kind of concept, and that just showed me that that can be done. I'm excited to get into that. That'll be fun. That's a cool axe. I passed it up on the last page, but I changed my mind. Once you add textures and all the details, it's gonna look super cool. Gotta see the potential of the shape. It's so low poly, but if I add detail to it, I kind of like the concept. I feel like we definitely will be needing some cauldrons for the David game. I'm sure they used a lot of those back then. She needs some work, but she's not bad. Not terrible. Maybe the David game could have Rhino in it. I think they would import rhinos to like serve the king pulling his chariot or something. That I could see that as being something they would do, maybe. Never any mention of rhinoceros in the Bible, but could happen, maybe. They did trade. I hope my hard drive has enough space, that's all I gotta say. I think we're downloading like 50 gigabytes worth of models. Oh, that's too low polygon. I'm not gonna bother with that one. I'm okay with low polygon swords because you can pretty easily add in scuffs and details and metallic reflections and all that stuff. But like if it's a low polygon gun or computer, you can't fake the details that should be on that. Like swords can be simple, but not those kind of objects, or not like a car. I'd have to straight up sculpt all that stuff. There's no procedural generating of car detail. That's a good sign when it comes with all those maps. Bump maps, specularity maps, normal maps. That's what adds all that delicious detail. I gotta learn how to make those maps and how to render them in my own engine. Now that is a comfy looking sofa. I have so many swords now. Ugh. But I just gotta keep downloading them anyways. I kinda feel like you can never have too many swords for a biblical fighting game.
That's because of the tasking, I would say tasking scheme of Ada. It's tasking.
And I'm looking to download thousands of models, so each individual model is not that important to me.
So yeah, that's why we don't really we don't need the memory.
I don't even know if that free model that I spent 5 minutes trying to jump through hoops to get is even going to go into my game, so why should I spend a bunch of time on it besides clicking download?
To be more precise, we don't use it because it's not defined in the language. For instance, we have a customer that wanted to do
I need brute force
reality tests.
massive downloads to build my library of models to work with.
Memory protection. Okay, cool. So, yeah.
Okay, I want to ask more about Ada, but I also want to make sure.
No, because I want to create a hierarchical
So let's
organizational
let's
stream,
and go to
organizational scheme for all of my 3D models. So I'll have humanoid, female, humanoid, male. So no, it'll be like humanoid underscore female underscore clothing,
It's,
humanoid underscore female underscore jewelry.
so we have
Then I'll have like
fan project and
humanoid underscore male
Ada outside
underscore clothing,
niche market,
humanoid underscore male underscore
a good language
jewelry.
for hacking and making.
And so in this way I can organize
Like the next step of that,
jewelry, clothing,
inviting
actual
all the
models of the characters
software
themselves,
engineers to try
accessories,
So we are organizing the competition.
weaponry, armor, outfits, and then do the same thing for all environmental stuff and weaponry stuff. And then it will be all organized in a single file with an image of it, and then the texture files and the model files. And then I can set up thumbnails to extra large view, and I can just scroll through seeing everything completely organized into hierarchical categories, seeing everything I have. And I don't have to worry about
making sure that your project has a nice interface.
trying to go on a bunch of free download 3D websites and trying to find
There's
stuff.
more detail on the website.
It will all be available to me,
but we should mention
ready to go.
First place is 5,000 euros, which is $5,600.
I'm not making a sex toy.
Math yourself.
It is right now.
It is.
Yeah.
It's in a week.
No.
It's just
For now, I'm just downloading zip files. They aren't even named. So it's going to be a whole other project to open up every zip file, extract it, name everything, create my hierarchy schemes. As I'm naming, I'll think that through.
the first one is the Robert
And
Lewis
it's all going to be in
project,
one file, though.
as well, not the-
It's going to have
the
an image,
very much involved in
all the textures, and
and so this special prizes will
the-
be project in
the 3D model itself,
criteria. So we're talking about software quality.
all with the same name.
Means do you have,
different
custom
file
projects?
types.
Are you using formal methods?
So they'll all be
Are you
grouped
using
together,
code coverage or
and I can see
index
what I
specification,
have
this kind of stuff?
very quickly while scrolling.
The second prize
And I can
is
Control F and type in humanoid and just get down to all the humanoid stuff, or Control F, type in buildings and get to all the building
and
stuff.
for those two prizes,
That kind of thing.
The prize are one Crazy Fly 2.0 Nanodraw.
Yeah, so the The downloading is just like filling your shopping cart at the grocery store. You have to bring that home then and organize it. So I'm not going to worry about organizing when I'm downloading. I'm just trying to brute force download, get everything I can from the internet, and then that's it. I'm done with that. I'm not going to download free models ever again. I'm not going to go on any of the free model websites ever again. I have my library. That's what I have to work with. So I'm trying to be thorough and get every free 3D model I can get online. Because I'm not going to do this again. This is a one-time deal.
Yes, okay. So it's the same for Crazy Fly, and the Crazy Fly is used a lot in the research and academia, I think.
You can't name it as you save it.
Working
Because
in collaboration between drones.
You click on the zip file, and then a prompt comes up, and you have to click save or open, and then you click OK, and then it starts downloading it. You don't get to save it when you download it.
Platform that is supports, let's say, out of the box.
I mean, you don't get to name it when you download it.
There is,
Even if I named the zip file,
discovery boards, you can find
the contents wouldn't be named, so I'd still have to name them.
table time smartwatch. But of
So
course,
that's
if you
a whole
work on
separate
the
step. I'm trying to download thousands of models, so
you can write,
to have to sit there and think of the hierarchical names and name them, it's just going to slow me way down for that step. I just want to brute force download everything and then worry about organizing later.
Okay, so what if I don't have one of those boards?
Plus,
Are you giving out some boards?
it's good to download it all so you know how much building stuff you have. So you don't create like buildings, medieval, brown, buildings, medieval,
to ask if you're
gray. Like if you only have 5 buildings, you can just do buildings.
organize a giveaway.
So knowing how many models total you have to work with in your mind, a rough idea,
Select 3 winners and
will help
ask
you know how
which one of the
deep you need to break down the individual hierarchies,
discovery boards. Which one- which one
how
is the-
specific you need to be. Because you might not need to be that specific if you don't have that many models to differentiate
I only
between.
wanna do this for first three people's conquest because